What's up team, my name's Sound. Today we're going to be looking at the eras of RuneScape and ranking them into a tier list. So looking at how the game existed in 2001 all the way up to 2025, current era, and seeing how they stack up against each other. Before I get started, I've been making some YouTube Shorts content and putting a lot of effort into that. If you check those out and then come back to this video, see what you think, let me know what you like about them, let me know what you don't like. I'm trying to get back into making content a little bit more, doing a little bit of editing. This is one of the types of videos I want to try. So I'd be grateful for your feedback and let me know if you think that anything I've put on here is really weird in terms of my rankings, or is there anything you think I should have included when I'm talking about them. Without further ado, let's go. Starting off with 2001 to 2004, this is RuneScape Classic. Now at the time, RuneScape Classic ended with about 65,000 paying members, which doesn't seem like very much, but if you consider that the server capacity was about 1,250 and there were 5 servers, we're talking about a max of about 7,000 players on at any time. So 65,000 players, 7,500 server spots. Really packed, really rammed with players, but still in its infancy. We've got lots of interesting updates that really strange in RuneScape Classic. Things like evil magic and good magic, pray good, pray evil, and some skills that still exist in the game like herb lore, thieving, fletching, agility were all introduced in RuneScape Classic. Updates like fatigue, it's got bots where if you were walking around the game for a certain period of time, you had to find a bed and rest and then enter like a capture code. And later they added a sleeping bag so you could sleep while you're walking around, but you still had to take a break. It was like every couple hours. Really strange update that players universally hated. As well as new skills being added. There were some skills that existed and they were removed. So there was a carpentry skill proposed at one point, which was then become construction. There was even a tailoring skill, which later became crafting. It's starting to give you an idea of what the landscape of RuneScape Classic was like at the time. During this era, not a single player ever reached 99 prayer. It was such a slow skill to train. There was no gilded altar or functus. If you want to train prayer, killing kill giants and picking up big bones or finding someone to buy big bones off of. But remember, you couldn't note items in RuneScape Classic unless they were like ore, logs, fish. You had to buy the bones manually and bury them and then buy them again. Really slow training methods. Strongest monster was the Kingbat Dragon, and the best equipment was things like Dragon Helmet, Dragon Axe, Dragon Sword, Dragon Shield, and then Rune Armor. In terms of where I'm going to rank this, it was a formative experience for the game, but I don't think it holds up. I'm putting it into C tier. I think that makes sense considering where I might want to rank the rest of the eras. Now we're going to move on to what most people consider to be RuneScape's first golden era. This is RuneScape 2 from 2004 to 2008. RuneScape Classic transitioned to RuneScape 2 at the time of 2004. It's an understatement to say the game blew up in popularity during this window. Ended 2004 with 65,000 paying members. Ended 2007 with 1 million. Almost 15 times the amount of people subscribing in 2004 to 2007. As well as the player base increasing, it brought with it loads of iconic updates and pieces of content that are still relevant. Skill capes, the Abyssal Whip, Amulet of Fury, content like Pest Control, Clue Scrolls, Monkey Madness, Desert Treasure, the Crystal Bow. You saw loads of players rocking that. And then you had content like Barrows, Hellfight Queen, Tuztok Jad. If you saw someone wearing a fire cape, there was barely any information online how to get a fire cape. If you want to learn how to do it, you have to go and find some YouTube video with some guy recording on unregistered Hypercam 2 with his Guthans, Black D'hide, Carol's crossbow, slaying Jad, and you'd be looking at it and thinking, how is he doing that? Because Jad attacks with magic and ranged. You can't pray against range and magic at the same time. That's black magic. And he'd have like Paralyzer by Finger 11 playing in the background as well, when you'd want to get a fire cape too, and you'd go in and you'd like die to the first 360. Most of the player base was very young at this time, and that's one of the reasons why old school RuneScape could never exist in the same way that RuneScape 2 existed back at this time. Needless to say that that era was brought about by the fact that everyone was very young, everything was very new, and we look at it with rose-tinted goggles a lot of the time, for good reason, because it was very fun when playing RuneScape 2 during this time. A couple more notable things that happened in RuneScape 2, obviously the Faldor Massacre, when an update to the construction system went a bit botched and a player was given the opportunity to attack everyone all across the game, and the best way that Jagex had to deal with it was walk around Faldor telling players to go and bank their items because they couldn't stop this beast, this menace to society, running around whipping people with the arms and the green party hat and the fire cape, the original Fashionscape. As well as that, the start of websites to support the game, RuneHQ, Tippet, and the original RuneScape forums were popping off. You want to buy a piece of equipment, you go to the RuneScape forums, find someone who's selling a granite maul, then message them in game and tell them, I'll meet you here, and then you trade them the cash and the granite maul in game. Now, the period of time where this era ends is one of the most controversial updates in RuneScape history, and that is the removal of free trade and the wilderness. Combat botting was a big issue in the game at the time. Jagex removed the ability for players to trade unbalanced gold between each other. So if you want to give someone a mill, they'd have to put something up to also cost a mill. The wilderness became a non-PvP zone. Players couldn't transfer gold by just killing someone in the wilderness to pick up the things. The PvP scene died out very, very quickly as a result of this update. So in terms of where I'm going to rank this, it shouldn't be a surprise that this is going straight to S tier. This was the period of game that really shaped a lot of people's love for the game, including my own. And there were very few things in the game that didn't hit right. Next, we're moving on to what I like to call the lost age of RuneScape. This is RuneScape HD from 2008 to 2012. During this time, there were so many iconic updates that were then taken from RuneScape HD and added to old school RuneScape because they were so beloved by the player base. Next, the Slayer helmet, quest lines like Wild Gothic Sleeps, Dragon Claws, Corporeal Beast, God Wars Dungeon, all these things that were introduced into the game at this time were then ported to old school RuneScape. But there were lots of things that didn't make the cut that many players, including myself, lament the loss of. Stealing Creation, Fist of Gothic. I don't know why we got Soul Wars of all things, because Stealing Creation and Fists of Gothics were absolute banger updates, and I would take them any day of the week over Soul Wars. And you know, hey, any JMOds listening to this video, yeah? Fist of Gothic, Stealing Creation, you know you want to add them, they absolutely slapped. And there were some stinkers like mobilizing armies. There was also Conquest. Conquest was another way to get pest control points, and it was like RuneScape chess. Bring back Conquest. Some of the other things that were added to RuneScape 3, Karasi Sword, basically a Void Waker that you got from a quest. We had the Polypore Star, Ganodermic Gear, Chaotic Weaponry, Overloads, Ancient Curses, and all these things led to what was the largest problem at this time, which was not botting, not removal of free trade, but power creep. All players were gradually getting stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger over time, and that's what led to the evolution of combat happening in 2013. Even though lots of those items now exist in old school RuneScape, they aren't as powerful as they were in RuneScape HD. As well as that, there were lots and lots of community things happening in RuneScape HD. YouTube was absolutely popping off. You had things like RuneScape Got Exposed, RuneScape music videos, making like a 30 seconds to Mars RuneScape video, a Rise Against RuneScape maneuver, a 3 Days Grace RuneScape music video was the shit when you were that age on YouTube. And then towards the end of this era, we started to have some much more controversial updates, like the loyalty program, the Squeal of Fortune, Refer a Friend program, and even a bonus XP weekend. This starts to show the signs of microtransactions. There are also some really weird graphical updates where they changed like the Helm of Natus Knot into this ugly, spiky mess. The whip changed, all the dragon equipment changed, the rune equipment changed. All that said, this was one of my favorite times to play the game. Absolutely love logging on after school. And I'd even say that because of the shaky end of this era with the graphical updates, with the microtransactions, the content slapped, but it's going to be a B tier, and that hurts. That really does. If I could do just 2008 to 2010, it'll be S tier, but I don't think that's fitting. You'll have to excuse the ice cream ban outside. Next up, we've got the evolution of combat, the dark ages of RuneScape. Evolution of Combat was not a controversial update at all. Everyone hated it. And as I said, it happened because players are getting more and more powerful, and Jagex didn't know how to release updates that weren't going to be completely obliterated by the level of gear which players had at that time. The player base was reportedly about 1 million paying subscribers, and it dropped by about 25% because players just didn't like the update. Combat was really janky. It's much better now, but at the time it was just a half update, and a lot of players fell out of love with the game almost instantly. The PvP scene was killed immediately. It should be no surprise to anyone that even though I, as a person who continued to play RuneScape after Evolution of Combat, after old school RuneScape came out, this period of the game was not it, and it is immediately a D tier. Alright, so here's where we start to deviate a little bit from clear-cut eras of RuneScape. In 2013, old school RuneScape was released September 2013, and I've put this next era as March 2013 to September 2013. This is when old school RuneScape existed with no new updates. This is what I would call vanilla old school RuneScape. The only thing that changed, the Goblin Raid update, and that was it. Now, when Old School RuneScape came out, it was like absolutely magical time. Anyone who plays MMOs knows that the first few weeks of an MMO, doesn't matter what that MMO turns into, it's World of Warcraft, WoW Classic, WildStar, Guild Wars 2, and Old School RuneScape, the first few weeks is just awesome. It's the most fun you can have playing any game, I think. Communities start to develop, metas start to develop, and it's no different with Old School RuneScape. The game launched with a very small dev team, and the overwhelming opinion of players were, we just want Old School RuneScape the way it was, we don't want anything new. That very quickly changed. The player base of Old School RuneScape dropped quite a lot. Even though Evolution of Combat was a universally panned update, was always below RuneScape 3 player count. The concurrent players for Old School RuneScape was 34,000 as an average over a month at its lowest time. So 34,000 people online. For comparison, the record high is 23,000. Almost 10% of what the player base is now. There wasn't as much of an appetite for it as was originally thought. Now, all that said, the first few weeks of this game were absolutely magical. So much fun. But retrospectively, while it was fun while it lasted, it went on too long. Vanilla Old School RuneScape, probably controversial, is going just above RuneScape Classic. It's not as good as RuneScape HD, maybe a little bit better than RuneScape Classic. Next up, we've got what I'm calling the Bronze Age of RuneScape, September 2013 to February 2015. This is when we started to get some rudimentary updates of the game. It starts with the Nightmare Zone. That's when the Nightmare Zone was released, 2013. Old School RuneScape's first proper piece of content. Really low quality piece of content compared to what we're getting now. If you compare it to things like Varlamore, no new models, like a couple of recolored sprites, but it was new, and that's what's important about it. Near the end of this era, we start to get things like Rooftop Agility, Motherlode Mine, we've got God Wars Dungeon added back into the game, we've got the Kraken, we've got Zulrah, definitely the biggest update of this era, PvP worlds, and Iron Man mode was introduced. It's really clear to me that this era was about maintaining the current players, giving them the things that they want with the small dev team that Jagex had. The game was hemorrhaging players, and thanks to this, they managed to stabilize the player base. Not many people left, not many people came in, living around about 20, 30k players concurrently. RuneScape 3 was sitting around 50, 60k players. If I'm going to rate it, the Bronze Age of Old School RuneScape, I'm going to say it's definitely better than Vanilla, but it's not better than RuneScape HD. The quality of the updates just wasn't there. Zulrah is an amazing update. It's a stalwart of Old School RuneScape, still relevant now, still a cracking piece of content. But if I compare that to things like Fistigathic Stealing Creation, Wild Gothic Sleeps, it pales in comparison. Next up, we've got Old School RuneScape's Renaissance era of February 2015 to May 2019. The reason I picked February 2015 is because there were 3 updates that happened in very quick succession that sent a message to Old School RuneScape players. The first of which was, we want to put into the game more high quality content. The second of which was, we're not just going to cater to you guys. We need new players. We need to retain our current player base because it is stagnating. And those 3 updates were the Old School RuneScape Bond, the Grand Exchange, and the addition of free-to-play. Incredibly significant updates. And later down in this era, in 2018, RuneScape Mobile release, all to draw in new players, to keep the current players, and kind of push the no changes vanilla crowd to the side. But as well as that, the quality of updates that started to be released in this time was really, really good. Monkey Madness and Dragon Slayer 2, the Winter Tote, the Inferno, Mage Arena 2, Fossil Island, Chambers of Xeric, Theatre of Blood, Abyssal Sire, Vorkath, LMS, Last Man Standing was released, and Deadman Mode are both released during this time. Compare those updates to Nightmare Zone. So clear the difference in quality, and the Old School team was beginning to grow. In 2017, Old School RuneScape surpassed RuneScape 3 with concurrent players. Over the last 3 years, the game had been stagnating and maintaining a consistent player base. During this time, the game was getting new players, it was growing, and that was really, really healthy. The only problem with this era was that the early and mid-game were difficult to navigate. The updates were focused around players who were already at that high level, rather than introducing content to new players who were just coming to the game. All that considered, RuneScape, the Renaissance era, 2015-2019, definitely better than RuneScape HD. I'm actually going to put this up into A tier. I think this is a quality time to be playing Old School RuneScape, and the game is really finding its identity at this time. Next up, we've got what I've heard being called the Golden Age of Old School RuneScape, or RuneScape's second Golden Age, and that's 2019 to 2024. During this time, the quality of updates continued to grow and grow and grow alongside the player base. The highest number of players that Old School RuneScape had in this time was over 200,000. Compare that to 2013 when I talked about having a 34,000 player base. Yeah, we're now at 200,000. The content that we had here absolutely banging. RuneLite HD, the game going on Steam, Leagues, Group Iron Man, stuff like the Bofa, Shadow, and then quests like Song of the Elves, Sins of the Father, and Desert Treasure 2, which I will stand on a hill saying is the best update that has ever been added to old school RuneScape, shortly followed by Varlamore. But DT2 is ultimate top tier content. And I would say that alongside being a golden age of content in the game, this is also a golden age of YouTube content. Swampletics. We had the Gilmore games during this time period, and old school RuneScape content on YouTube really blew up to the level that it was during 2008, 2012. The only thing I can say bad about this era is the early and mid game has continued to be not as good. All the updates were again pitched towards your late game players, right? There's not much to change and fix the early game. In terms of where I'm putting this, the second golden age, it's got to go up to S tier. Whether it's going to be better than the first golden age, I really don't know. I'm going to leave that up to you. Let me know what you think. And last but definitely not least, we've got old school RuneScape from 2024 to 2025. And the reason why I've picked 2024 as the time when this era starts is because that's when Varlamore Part 1 came out. Now, I would consider this to be the platinum age of old school RuneScape. The way the game is right now, the place it's in, is the best it has ever been throughout RuneScape's entire history. Because if you just look at Varlamore and the content that exists in that expansion, without a doubt, the highest quality piece of content that's ever been added to the game after Desert Treasure 2, as I've mentioned, but it's a much more wide-reaching piece of content that appeals to all players, not just your players who are further into the end game. And in fact, that's the theme of a lot of the updates that happen from 2024 to 2025. But this whole time, talking about old school RuneScape, I've been talking about the early and the mid game just being not as good. 2024 changed that. Updates like Scurrius, the Zombie Act, Royal Titans, Perilous Moon, a stellar piece of content that really changed the shape of what RuneScape looks like before the late game. And I don't think it's a coincidence that a lot of streamers from other MMOs like Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft have begun to come into old school RuneScape and really enjoy it because they see content like Scurrius, and it really gives you an idea of what the game's like at a later point. That said, it wasn't only early and mid-game content that we got during this time. The Colosseum, while Gothic sleeps, and getting bosses like Yama and Araxor and Doom, and all of this together has brought me to the fact that old school RuneScape's player base is going up and up and up and up and up, and it's reached an all-time peak. And for that reason, old school RuneScape 2024 to 2025 is going to be added to S+ tier because it simply is the best place the game has ever been in. So there we have it. There's my ranking from 2001 all the way to 2025, 24 years. I'm really interested to know what you think about this. If you think I'm wrong, if you think I should have mentioned another update that's important to the game that I've forgotten about, or if you think that I've hit the nail on the head, I really want to know. I'm going to put the link to the tier list in the comments. Anyone other content creators want to make their own and share it, feel free to send me yours as well. I'm interested to hear what you're thinking. But thank you for giving me a place on your second monitor for a period of your day. I hope you do well. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, check out my YouTube shorts, and keep an eye out for more content that I'm really looking forward to putting out for you. Take care, guys.